What's going on, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the Nerdwide podcast, episode 3 of our Horror Halloween 2023 movie reviews. It's been a big week, period, for a bunch of news. We'll talk about some things, we'll pepper in some stuff, but it's been a big week. It's one of those I'm like, I wish we did talk about the news a little bit because we have like the writer strike going on, obviously. All the studios met up with I forget what the WGA and the other groups, and they said, hey, this is our best and final offer, and this is it. So apparently the AMPTP took it back, and we still haven't heard. This is Sunday, September 24th, and that was last night they gave that final offer. Still don't have anything, but I imagine if it's not that good of an offer, they're just going to say, nah, we're going to turn that down, and we're going to keep picketing. So, as they should. Because I saw an article, Suits is like the number one stream net thing on Netflix, like with 80 billion minutes or hours or something like that. And the actors and writers are getting zero residuals from that. Yeah. Most streamed thing on Netflix, and not getting paid at all for it. And that just is bonkers to me because I am halfway through Suits as a TV show, and it is excellent. So, and they did get paid. But before we get to all of that, this is Nerdwide Podcast, episode 128. I'm your host, Tyler Haynes, and with my good friend and co-host, Mr. Chris Rivers. Now, was this your week for the movies? I know, was Exorcist? I think Exorcist was Jamie. Were you the Blair Witch?
I thought they were both mine, but maybe I'm wrong.
That might be both yours then. So it was hers. John Carpenter's Vampires was mine. Man, I wish I would have kept the list. I'm sure I've got it somewhere still.
You've probably got it where I texted it to you.
That's a good point, because you texted in that group, didn't you?
Yeah.
Let's see, because both of y'all did. Yeah, they were both yours. You're right. So, it's been. But anyways, how are you? Since you messed up my weekend.
I've had a few days off, so I've gotten some movies watched. I've gotten some other stuff done. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
I enjoy it. If I could hit the lottery, this would be great, 24/7.
That's what I'm saying. If Jamie and I talk about all the time, hey, we need to make some more money. You know, it's been real rough here lately. And we're like, if only we win the lottery, but you have to play it, and we don't play it. So, it's, but whatever. Spend money to make money kind of thing. Let's see. I'm trying to think. It's been a busy week. So Zoe's birthday is tomorrow. We had her birthday party last night. Stella's birthday party will be next week. Her birthday will be a week from today. It's our busy season, and then we've got Halloween coming up, and I just can't wait. I just want to decorate, but we have to wait until Stella's party's over, and then we can actually decorate. We haven't convinced her yet to do a Halloween party, so.
The question is, have you solved your crisis that you posted about, where you're looking for a hairdresser?
Yes, I did. So, I've got my barber appointment on the Wednesday the 26th, and then my hairstylist appointment the 27th. So, my contacts came in. I've already tried them on, wore them for a little bit. They're great. I need to order my costume, and that'll be it. But everything else is booked, ready to go for. I'm really excited this year.
I don't think you're going to top Jamie's costume from last year.
Well, I'm working on it, okay? I have to win this year. I cannot let it go. She has got the trophy, and it has still sat on her bedside table for a year. It was like Thanksgiving time, Christmas time. I said, babe, can we really put this up somewhere? It doesn't fit the holiday. She goes, oh, no. This is staying there until someone else wins it or I win it again. I said, okay. So for the Halloween party, ladies and gentlemen, we have a lot of people over. We do different contests and everything, but we do overall best Halloween costume. And I've won a couple years. Jamie won last year, and it's not okay. So this year I'm stepping it back up, taking it from, level 9 to level 11, and just doing everything I can. I have lost 3.5 pounds. I've got a new workout routine. I've been working out twice a day. It's we're gonna have some fun, and the only hint I'm going to give to the world is it has to do with a show that we recap and review. So that's it.
Huh.
Mm-hmm. That's all I'm gonna say.
Okay.
Other than that, guys,
Uh,
quick housekeeping. Don't forget to subscribe to either our YouTube or podcasting service of your choice. Of course, if you enjoy the show, make sure you give us a thumbs up on YouTube or give us a great rating on whatever podcasting service you do use. If you don't enjoy what you see or hear, make sure you leave us a comment so we know how we can improve the show. Can't fix it, but don't know it's broken. If you want to do more, you can always go to patreon.com/nerdwide. 3 different tiers for 3 different monetary values. If you want to recommend shows, music, books, comics, games, any of that kind of stuff, that's the place to do it. Of course, you get episodes early if you do that as well, and all sorts of goodies and fun things over that way. We are also now officially up on Threads. Just go to that search bar, type in Nerdwide, all one word, boom, we're right there. So we've got, like, I think 2 followers, and you're looking at them. So, but, that's just until we get there, because once we get started going on there, that is where I'm going to be posting a lot of, like, rethreading, and reposting a bunch of nerdy kind of stuff just to keep conversations flowing. That's where, because I can easily switch between my profile and my phone, and that's where I will be doing all of that. So if you want to be in touch and keep in tune, of course, we still are on Twitter, still on Facebook, and now on Threads. So if you want to keep in touch, those are the places to do it. Although I do want to start using Threads a lot more for our nerdy stuff. And the Nerdwide channel. So, but Chris, TV-wise, what you been watching? Anything good this week?
I haven't done a lot of TV. Been doing a lot of movies. So.
I'm excited because there's some good ones on there on the docket here you put there. I'm trying to think. I haven't really watched anything, but it's still Supernatural and Suits are my go-to shows for work. And then I think that's. And Big Brother still going on. Nothing else has really just been bland. But I got a lot of shows coming up from my reality TV this week. So be prepared for it. But we do have a new one coming out when we get to our new releases that we are going to start to recap and review. And I cannot wait until we get there. But other than that, we've been watching Harley Quinn Season 2. We watched 4 episodes last week, 4 episodes this week. So for the next week, though, we're going to watch 3 episodes and then our new show. And then the following week, we'll watch 2 episodes, which will take us out of Season 2. And we'll be done with that for a while until we get a lull in our shows again, which doesn't look like it's going to be anytime soon because we have got our shows coming back. The Santa Clauses is doing a Season 2, which we knew they were going to, which was announced last year. Didn't know when. It's going to be coming up in November. Doom Patrol got a release date. If you're watching this, make sure you go and see our Nerdwide reacts to it on our YouTube channel. We are going to react to the last and final Doom Patrol trailer. So make sure you're watching that and give us a thumbs up and share that around. Hate to see it go. We don't know. It's looking right now that they're going to drop all the episodes at once. I hope that's not the case. But if it is, we'll do 2 episodes at a time and then go from there. I hope they don't do it all at once. I hope they just do 1 episode and so we kind of stretch it out and savor what is Doom Patrol, which still mind-blowing to me that it has not been talked about. And James Gunn's like, oh, it's coming. We just don't know when. And we really don't know what we're doing with it. And bonkers to me. Everyone loved Doom Patrol.
Yeah.
So.
Well, everybody loved most of the DC TV/streaming stuff. It was just the movies that they couldn't get right.
Right. I wish I still raced that were released Batgirl. Like, just put it on Max. What are we doing? Anyways, Harley Quinn Season 2, Episode 5. This one is titled Batman's Back, Man. Hilarious episode. I almost texted Chris when I finished it, and I was going to say, hey, Episode 5 is one of the best Harley Quinn episodes for a lot of good and funny reasons. We're going to do a quick little recap from Wikipedia here. As the only Justice League members left, Two-Face and Bane decide to join forces to stand a better chance against Harley, but disagree on how to label their combined organization. Meanwhile, recovering Wayne is desperate to pick up the cowl again in spite of his butler Alfred Pennyworth's advice to rest and heal. When he learns that Batgirl is fighting criminals, Bruce becomes concerned that she is giving Gotham a false sense of hope that it will die if she dies. So he tasks Lucius Fox with building him a high-tech bat suit to compensate him for his injuries. Batman initially has the upper hand in battle, but he sustains more injuries while fighting Bane before he is saved from Two-Face's men by Alfred and Batgirl. The former having also adopted a vigilante persona, the Macaroni. Hilarious, by the way. Like I didn't catch on when they first showed the Macaroni that it was him, and then he shows up with Batgirl. Like, oh, that's Alfred. Okay,
Yeah.
very good. Understanding the value of having Batgirl around, Batman asks Commissioner Gordon to work for her while he focuses on recovering. Meanwhile, an upset Bane nearly kills Two-Face for leaving him out of their partnership, but the latter offers him a pit to do with as he pleases to placate him. So there's a lot of good, funny moments. It starts off with a two real nerdy guys. One's wearing a "Where's the Snyder Cut" shirt or something like that. And I forget what the other one was wearing. I couldn't read his.
His was a Star Wars.
Yeah.
It was. I can't remember which film it referenced, but it was.
Oh, it was the Last Jedi or something like that.
Yeah.
The Last Jedi's not canon or something like that. It was just stupid, like real big nerd warrior. Those guys you see on the internet that are just constantly spewing filth. And they were talking about the anti-misogynistic show and all this other stuff. That's all just, it's not even about Batman. What's the point of it? And it was an episode about Batman was the whole point of this episode. Very funny. Commissioner Gordon on top of the roof. Batman sitting down. He says, "Why are you sitting down? Are you hurt?" And he goes, "No, I sit down sometimes." And he says, "I've never seen you sitting down." He goes, "Well, I'm tired right now," and just kept talking. I meant to see who played Batman. Pretty sure it's oh God, it's gonna bug me. What's his name? Now I'm gonna look. So, because I can. So, Dietrich Bader as Bruce Wayne Batman. Yeah. So he's been in a lot of shows. Oh, I guess he was Batman in 2008. Batman the Brave and the Bold. The more you know. So that was a good episode. I really enjoyed that one. Way to start off the last half of our season here. Episode 6. I was looking at season 1. That would have been bad. All the best inmates have daddy issues. While spending a night together, Harley and Ivy encounter a living, sane Joker at the bar. Ivy tries to kill him, but Harley believes he has a genuinely changed. To prove this, she recounts how she first met Ivy and Joker and changed her for the better. In a flashback, Dr. Harleen Quinzel had been tasked by the DA, Harvey Dent, and Commissioner Gordon to interview Joker about a bomb he hid in Gotham before he was imprisoned at Arkham. After a difficult first meeting, Harleen becomes inspired by a spiteful Ivy to ask about Joker's family. He tells her a heartfelt backstory about his abusive father to earn his trust before telling her the bomb is in Little Italy in exchange for having a private meal with her. I knew this was as soon as she said that, I was like, okay, this is something else, It wasn't really where they were going. However, let's see. While Batman and the authorities are distracted, Joker reveals he put the bomb in a prison chef nicknamed Little Italy and tries to kidnap Harleen. However, Ivy rescues her in return for a plant Harleen gave her earlier in the episode. Once Harley finishes reminiscing, Ivy reveals Joker's backstory was actually hers before they bring in Dr. Psycho, who confirms the Joker has no memory of his old self. On their way out, Harley and Ivy get arrested by Two-Face. Very good one here was, I liked how they did it with Batman knew who Little Italy was. Because they got to Little Italy, and they said, oh, it's the chef. He said, Little Italy, and it ran off. It was great.
Too late.
Yeah, too late, but made a big hole in the wall. Very good, very short, exactly what we needed backstory for Harley Quinn. We didn't really get her big origin story, but we saw beforehand, and I kind of see what they're setting up with Ivy and Harley Quinn for this season. They're showing how their past has made them who they are now, kind of scenario, and I really like that. Episode 7, There's No Place to Go But Down. Harley and Ivy are put on trial in a kangaroo court held by Two-Face with Bane as the judge and Man-Bat as their defense attorney. Hilarious, because he was screaming the whole time and it had his subtitles up. And it was and he was saying the right things, objection leading, and it was perfect. Against Harley's wishes, Ivy admits her role in the recent actions, leading to both of them being sentenced to life imprisonment in Bane's subterranean rehabilitation center, the Pit. Despite seeing no way out, Harley and Ivy formulate a plan to escape after learning that George Lopez is headlining the upcoming talent show. Despite their initial plan going south when Lopez leaves, Ivy gives an inspiring speech about her recent life events in front of the other inmates, and which incites a riot, giving her and Harley a chance to escape. When Bane attempts to stop them, Harley sacrifices herself to allow Ivy to escape, but the latter saves the former and they share a passionate kiss. Meanwhile, Gordon's self-confidence takes another hit after he fails to stop the Ratcatcher. When Two-Face storms his house, he plans to give up until Batgirl saves him and reveals her identity as his daughter. With Gordon's confidence restored, the pair team up to take back the GCPD headquarters, with Gordon defeating and incarcerating Two-Face. Another banger episode. Like, the action was top notch, the scenery was really cool. George Lopez was in this episode, and the whole scene, Gordon taking back the police department, was so cool. Like, he just goes and mows everybody down, and they even did the whole thing where they went to Batgirl's perspective. She said, "Are you okay in there?" "Yeah, I'm good." It was perfect. That was wonderful.
And they finally paid off to, like you mentioned, where they've been leading Ivy and Harley to.
We knew it was coming.
They've teased that how many times?
Right. And which boils over into this next episode, which was also a very good episode. Episode 8, Inner Parademons. With the Injustice League defeated, the President tasks Gordon with eliminating Harley before he can allow Gotham to rejoin the U.S. Batgirl tries to dissuade him, but Gordon rallies Gotham citizens behind him to help. Meanwhile, Harley is struggling to reconcile her feelings over kissing Ivy. When Batgirl warns her of Gordon's plans, Harley decides to take over Gotham with her own army. Together with an enthusiastic Psycho and a reluctant Clayface and King Shark, Harley steals Mr. Miracle's mother box and uses it to travel to Apocalypse, where she kills Granny Goodness with Psycho's help, earning Darkseid's respect in a parademon army. Elsewhere, Ivy and Kite Man have brunch with his parents. When she learns that they only want metahuman grandchildren, however, Ivy tells them off and convinces Kite Man to do the same. Gordon's army confronts Harley's, only to be slaughtered until Ivy arrives and makes Harley realize she went too far. Harley relinquishes the control of the parademons and lets Gordon win, enraging Psycho into quitting the crew. When Harley tries to tell Ivy her feelings, Kite Man interrupts them, causing her to hide them once again. Was not expecting Darkseid, especially a Granny Goodness Darkseid episode. Real bloody, real dark. Those poor... Again, I don't know why you would live in Gotham anymore. I mean, being homeless and, jumping from train to train would probably be a lot better life than living in Gotham at this point. Yeah. And...
It's just a little too nuts.
Yeah.
Now these episodes are older, right? They came out like 2020 or so.
The 8th one came out May 22nd, 2020.
So we're watching them for the first time. We don't know where this is going. But do you think we get a scene or an episode where Harley either accidentally kills Kite Man, or where he dies and Ivy thinks that Harley could have saved him,
and then which splits them up? And see, that's a good one. That's I don't know what they're going to do with it. I don't think they're going to tell him right out, because she has not told him about the kiss yet, which was the whole point of the 8th episode. Ivy was supposed to tell him, and he got close but forgot, or she got close but didn't. So I'm like, I wonder how he's going to take it. I don't think he's going to mind. It just depends what the writers do with the character. But I like his backstory too with his parents. I wasn't expecting to, like, a side character essentially, to kind of care about him that much. Because that whole episode with Ivy especially, I didn't expect like Ivy as much as I do either. And it was very, very cool for them. Like, oh yeah, I could freeze things and she could fly. We want her to have, our grandchildren to have powers. I'm like, okay, so I see where this is going. I think his powers are going to manifest at some point, and he's going to leave Ivy potentially. So I don't know. We'll see though. The next episode though is titled Bachelorette. So,
yeah, it's supposed to be her party, right?
So it should be a good one. I mean, what can you do in Gotham City? As- a lot.
Yeah.
So next week we're going to do episodes 9, 10, and 11, and then on Friday, September 29th, Gen V, the Boys spin-off show, which is being kind of aimed at, because we haven't seen any trailers yet, but it's kind of being aimed as like an X-Men show. So with some characters from the Boys making appearances, including Jensen Ackles as I already forget his name. Soldier Boy. He's supposed to be in an episode or two. They said we were not gonna tell you which ones though. So I'm really excited. I love the Boys universe, and I'm excited to get back into it. So with some new characters to have fun with. Releases this week, Thursday, September 28th. The Golden Bachelor season 1, and then right after that, Bachelor in Paradise season 9.
So is the Golden Bachelor, is this the one with the old guy?
Yes, Gary or Jerry. It's one of the two.
Geriatric.
Yes, and I'm not watching that one. I might. If Jamie tells me it's really good, then I will. Bachelor in Paradise, though, that is my peak trashy reality TV. So, and that's all I'm here for. And they've got one of my favorite guys from the most recent Bachelorette season on there. I'm like, yeah, I'm ready to see what damage you can do, buddy. So that's it for TV, though. That's it.
All right, so let's see. We're on the movies then. So did you watch anything else other than our two main ones?
No, I watched a lot of college football this weekend, so I didn't really have a lot of time to watch movies. What about you, though? You mentioned at the top of the show you've watched some.
Yeah, let me just say real quick before we leave college football. Poor Colorado.
Oh, man. Listen, I wasn't expecting a lot, but I was expecting more than that. Because I know we talked about it last week. That's my secondary team. I'm on the bandwagon. I'm all about this Coach Prime stuff. But I was watching it. I was like, oh, God. I switched over to the Alabama game because that was more exciting when they were losing by 1. Because it was 0 to like 35 or something like that. I was like, okay, I'm just going to – they're eating them alive, and I want to watch some actual competitive football.
Yeah.
But they're out of the AP 25 now, though.
Yeah.
So, sucks.
Well, they got another tough one next week.
Yes, they do. So, hopefully I can bounce back from it.
As far as what I watched this week, I've got a chance with the time off to get to a few things. So, I watched the 1978 version of a film.
So that's the original one.
Death on the Nile.
Which one do you prefer, the newest or that one?
I think this one was more time period appropriate. It helped that they didn't have as far back to go because it's made in 78, and I think the story is set in the 30s. So, this one had Angela Lansbury, Mia Farrow, David Niven. It had a really good cast in it, right? And let me pull up my Letterboxd because I did rate it. I think I gave it. Let's see. Yeah, I gave it 3.5 stars.
That's not bad.
So I can't remember what I gave the original, or not the original one that we talked about. Just scrolling back real quick to see if I can spot it. How long ago was that? Good Lord.
Was it this year?
I don't know.
Nope, that was last year.
If it was, I overlooked it.
Yeah, that was last year. Good Lord. We watched a lot of movies, and I'm okay with it.
Oh, I gave that one 3.5 too, so apparently I liked them both. I also watched one called Die Screaming Marianne from 1971. 3.5 stars on it. Basically, Susan George plays this woman who she's very carefree, just kind of wants to go around, travel, live her life. Most of the men that meet her want to marry her. You know, like they just fall for her real quick. Her father's someone called the judge, who has been thrown off the bench because he was corrupt. So his other daughter has taken more after him, and Susan George, her character Marianne, just wants to kind of live life and be away from her family. And it's of course it's set over in Europe in the early 70s. So good film, but yeah, they basically not her father, but her sister and a couple of other folks try to kill her after she won't give up some information that they need for a bunch of money. So
always comes down to the money.
Always comes down to the money. And finally, speaking of money, I watched a documentary that came out 2 years ago on Netflix called Bob Ross, Happy Accidents, Betrayal, and Greed.
This one hit like a pretty popularity back when it dropped.
Yeah, I gave it 4 stars.
Oh, wow.
It does a good job of showcasing who he was. And also the people that he got in business with. It worked out really well for him. But then when he started to pass away, because he had cancer, he had non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. And as he was on his deathbed, this couple he had been in business with were trying to get his son to take a paper into the room and have him basically sign his name away. And they're still in control of things right now, even though that didn't happen.
Sounds about right.
So
all comes down to greed.
Always. So some good stuff there. On to this week's movies, though. You had not seen either of these.
No. I know there was a debate of, I don't think, we might have talked about it on the show too. I was between, had I seen the Blair Witch Project or the Blair Witch one, and it was in fact the Blair Witch. So both of these were completely new to me. But the Exorcist, though, I know we talked about before the show, I now understand like a lot of references to a lot of film and a lot of horror kind of stuff from the Exorcist that I did not know about. So, but like every time, you should have saw me, it's like that Leonardo DiCaprio meme where he goes up, 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 up. That was me. I was like, oh, I've seen that before, just in different iterations and things like that, or in pictures and stuff.
Yeah. So we'll start with the Blair Witch Project. Did you get a chance to watch the documentary?
No, but I didn't have the time to. Okay. I've got it on my separate list though to watch.
So Blair Witch came out in 1999. It was really the first movie to use viral marketing. It had a budget of between $200,000 and $750,000. And had a box office of $248.6 million.
Well, that's
made a little bit of money.
Yeah, just a little bit.
Let's get into the plot. So it purports to be footage found in the discarded cameras of 3 young filmmakers who'd gone missing. In October of 1994, film students Heather, Mike, and Josh set out to produce a documentary about the mythical Blair Witch. They traveled to Burkittsville, Maryland, and interview residents about the myth. Locals tell them of Rustin Parr, a hermit who lived in the forest and abducted 7 kids in the 1940s. He supposedly murdered them all in his basement, killing them in pairs while having one stand in a corner. The students explore the forest in North Burkittsville to research the myth. They meet 2 fishermen, one of whom warns them the forest is cursed. He tells them of a young child named Robin Weaver, who went missing in 1888. When she returned 3 days later, she talked about an old woman whose feet never touched the ground. The students hiked to Coffin Rock, where 5 men were found ritualistically slaughtered in the 19th century. Their corpses later disappeared. They camp for the night, and the next day find an old graveyard with 7 small cairns, one of which Josh accidentally knocks over. That night they hear the sound of sticks snapping. The following day, they try to hike back to the car but cannot find it before dark and make camp. They again hear sticks snapping. In the morning, they find that 3 cairns had been built beside their tent. Heather learns her map is missing. Mike reveals he kicked the map into a creek out of frustration, which provokes a fight between the trio as they realize they're lost.
What a dick. Like, come on.
They decide to head south using Heather's compass and discover stick figures hanging from trees. They again hear mysterious sounds that night, including children laughing. After an unknown force shakes the tent, they hide in the forest until dawn. Upon returning to their tent, they find that their possessions have been rifled through and Josh's equipment is covered with slime. They come across a river identical to one they crossed earlier and realize they've been walking in circles. Josh vanishes the next morning, and Heather and Mike try in vain to find him. That night they hear Josh's agonized cries but are unable to find him. They theorize his yells are a fabrication by the Blair Witch to draw them out of their camp. The next day, Heather discovers a bundle of twigs tied with fabric from Josh's shirt. Upon opening the bundle, she also finds a blood-soaked scrap of his shirt containing teeth and hair. Although distraught, she does not tell Mike. That night, she records herself apologizing to her own, Mike's, and Josh's families, taking responsibility for their predicament. That night, they hear Josh calling out to them and follow his voice to the abandoned ruins of the house of Rustin Parr. Featuring demonic symbols and children's bloody handprints on the walls, trying to locate Josh, they go to the basement where an unseen force assaults Mike, causing him to drop his camera. Heather enters the basement yelling, and her camera captures Mike standing in a corner facing the wall. Heather calls out to him, but he doesn't react. The unseen force assaults Heather, causing her to drop her camera, and the film ends.
Mm-hmm.
So, the interesting thing about this movie, too, is they had a rough script for, like, events they were going to set up, but they dropped these 3 off in the woods with their cameras, right, and their equipment and stuff. When you hear noises being made, the actors had no idea that that's what was going to happen.
Oh, so that was genuine reactions to it.
Yeah, and in fact, there's one of the nights when they take off chasing something.
Mm-hmm.
It was one of the people that was out there to make noise and things like that, and it was one of the producers, and he said in the commentary, they almost caught me.
Because that wasn't that second night or whatever. Because like it was, the camera footage like was underneath the blankets, and then one screams, they all dart out running, and all you hear, like you could tell they were running, and you couldn't really see anything.
Yeah,
that's hilarious. I would never. They better give me a big chunk of that $1 million that they made.
In fact, they were supposed to get to the cemetery in the movie before they actually did. They took a different turn than they were supposed to take, and so it made it last longer. But it's really well done, and I think I scored it higher because I think I gave this 4.
Oh, okay.
I gave it 4.5.
Oh, wow.
Just the fact that it kind of set a new standard. It popularized the found footage film.
Yeah.
The viral marketing, it was the first one to really use the internet like that. But again, just dropping them out there in the middle of the woods, like, all right.
It's a lot more fun than... Because I gave this... Jamie didn't watch this one with me, so I put a DNW for this one. It's just been real busy for all of us, but I was able to squeeze it in. It's not a long movie. It's like an hour and a half or something like that.
Yeah.
I gave this 2.5 stars. I liked it, but I'm not a big fan of that kind of film where you're using your camcorders and things like that. Because I've never been... I forget what movie it was. But there's one like that was first introduced to it.
Cloverfield?
No, it was after that. It was a superhero one.
Oh.
Like where something alien touches down, and these group of kids come into contact with it and gives them superpowers. but it was shot through that whole kind of phone kind of thing. And I was like, I just didn't. It was good. This was creepy, because I think I got a little bit bored up in that's we'll talk about for the Exorcist too, until maybe 30 minutes in. Like I was intrigued, then I got a little bored, but until the night where, not the first night where they started hearing sounds and whispers, but it was the one where they ran, because that next day is when they found all like the cult imagery and stuff tied together stuff. That's when I was like, okay, we're getting a little creepy here. And then I had to keep telling myself this is just fake. This is not real. But little I know that half that movie is real, but whatever. So
I will say this: when I started watching, I didn't get to finish the commentary track this time, but I started watching it, and I didn't really need to hear them discuss much about the last half of the movie. It was interesting to hear them talk about things though in the first half. So when they're interviewing people, when they first get to what here is, I think in the modern time it's called Burkittsville, but was the old town of Blair. When they first get there, they're interviewing a bunch of folks. Some of those people were actors. Some were locals that they just. I guess the producers just said, "Hey, would you want to be in a movie? Here's what we need you to talk about." Just
act like this is a town legend kind of thing.
But one of the people that was real, you remember the lady that they talked to, and I'm blanking on her name now. She lived in the trailer.
Mary, was that her name?
Was it Mary?
Mary, I think.
That's where she actually lived.
Oh.
And she was actually a real part of the community.
And she was the one that gave them a lot of information to go off of, because they originally thought she was crazy.
He really did believe some of the things people said about her in the film.
Yeah, Mary Brown.
And like, I found myself just kind of looking at her when she's on film, because she's really gaunt looking, and it's just like, that. I don't think any of that was makeup.
Well, even her pictures, like of her cast picture, it looks like, I mean, that's just normal, like no teeth, kind of very gaunt, dehydrated looking kind of stuff. So
they also said that I think another one that was a local was the lady with the kid. That wasn't like they gave her some of the information that they wanted her to say, but the kid's reaction was not anything that was planned. You know, because the kid's trying to get her to quit talking about it.
Yeah,
because
she said, "Oh, it's not real, honey." She goes, "It's real."
Yeah. But it was kind of odd. You know, the kid had no idea what they were really talking about, but could sense, hey, this isn't good.
Yeah, I'm tired of being here, kind of thing. Yeah, we don't talk about that stuff.
But yeah, they made a sequel to this that really loosely tied in, because it was more of a studio movie.
Oh.
And then they made, I guess it's basically a remake. Later on too, that's more of a studio movie, because Hollywood can't leave well enough alone.
Yeah, of course not. Why would they be able to do something like that? Because they even made a game. You get the game on Game Pass. Yeah, I played like a little bit of it. It was one of those that it doesn't tell you what to do. It just throws you there, and I'm like, I need direction.
Probably, if you'd seen the movie, you might have.
I could probably do a little bit better, but not anymore.
All right, next up we have what a lot of people call the greatest horror movie ever, The Exorcist. Now, I watched The 2 hour, 12-minute director's cut.
I kind of wish we did. Because we had and I looked, and we only had the 2 hour and 2 minute one. So just the original cut. Um, but I want to start off real quick. I liked this movie. I gave this 3.5 stars. I think it was a little long. It was a little long. And then Jamie gave it a 3. And her reason is because she's seen, obviously a lot of these movies before. But she said it jumped all over the place sometimes, which it did, because there were some scenes like you would see 3 seconds of something, and then it would jump to somebody else doing 3 seconds of something, then jump to somebody else. I'm like, let's just stay with one person, please. But it was okay.
So I gave it 5 stars.
Ooh. That is your highest one of the horror one this year.
I gave it 5 stars. The director's cut has 10 extra minutes, so it's got a little bit more character building to it. Friedkin, by the way, the director of this, passed away not long ago. He passed away, I think, just a few months, like 3 months ago or something like that. The director's cut, I know of one scene specifically that's in the director's cut that you probably didn't see, and that's the spider walk down the stairs.
No, because I would have turned it off. No, that was not in ours. Like she stayed in the bedroom the whole time on the one we watched. So
we'll read the plot, and then I'll get to a couple of those.
We'll jump into it.
At an archaeological, and I think this is why a lot of people feel it's a slow movie too, is it starts out completely unrelated to what we're going to do.
Yeah, so what was the whole point of that scene? Was that just to set him up a little bit?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. At an archaeological excavation in northern Iraq, Catholic priest and archaeologist Lancaster Marin unearths a medallion of Saint Joseph, as well as a statuette representing Pazuzu, an Assyrian demon. As Marin prepares to leave, he sees a large statue of the demon and 2 dogs fighting. In Georgetown, Washington, D.C., actress Chris McNeil stars in a film directed by her friend Burke Dennings. McNeil, along with her 12-year-old daughter Reagan, rents a well-appointed house with servants. Meanwhile, Father Damien Karras, a psychiatrist who counsels Georgetown University priests, visits his ailing mother in New York. He confides to a colleague he feels unfit in his role, citing a crisis of faith. The day after moving in, Chris hears noises in the attic, to which Reagan attributes them to her imaginary friend Captain Howdy, whom she talks to via a Ouija board. That right there.
Mm-hmm. You know what Jamie told me when we were watching this? She goes, I still want one of those. I'm like, not in my house. Will one of those things ever be? So
I'll have to bring one by.
Absolutely not. Mm-mm.
In a local church, a statue of Mary is found desecrated. That night, Chris hosts a party with Karras' friend, Father Dyer, who explains Karras' role as counselor, mentioning that his mother died recently. Reagan, seemingly unwell, appears and urinates before Chris comforts her. After she puts Reagan to bed, it begins shaking violently. Dyer consoles Karras, who expresses guilt at not having been with his mother when she died. Karras dreams of his mother, a St. Joseph medallion, and briefly, a demonic face. And this is really one of the scenes where, with her kind of coming down to the party, and she looks at the guy. He's a pilot or an astronaut.
Yeah.
And she's like, "You'll die up there."
Mm-hmm.
And then she just
pees
all over.
Yeah, that was my first. I was like, there's something wrong with this kid.
Yeah. Yeah.
And everyone just acted like, just kept going with the party after they took her away. I was like, that's not normal behavior.
No. No. Her mom's like, she's been sick. And it's like, he's like, okay, I understand.
Yeah.
I wouldn't. I'd be like, what do you mean?
Right.
Soon after, Reagan's personality becomes violent. She's subjected to several medical tests, which find nothing physically wrong with her. During a house call, Reagan exhibits abnormal strength. One night, Chris finds the house empty except for a sleeping Reagan. Dennings is found dead at the foot of an outdoor staircase beneath Reagan's window. Homicide Detective William Kinderman questions Karras, confiding that Dennings' head was turned backwards. Homicide Detective William Kinderman, by the way, played by Lee J. Cobb.
I've seen him in something. Speaking of, I want to look at some.
He's been in a lot, man. Great actor.
Mm-hmm.
Reagan's condition worsens as her body becomes covered with sores. A doctor mentions exorcism as a remote option, suggesting a possible psychological benefit. Kinderman visits Chris, explaining the only plausible explanation for Dennings' death is he was pushed from Reagan's window. As Kinderman leaves, Reagan has another violent fit and stabs her vagina with a crucifix.
Dude, that scene was wild. Wild.
I mean,
especially for a 1973 film. Wild.
Right. And some of the other stuff before that, too. I don't know if it's hard to know exactly what you got and what you didn't, because I don't know all the missing pieces, but like when it first starts to manifest, and they don't show it, obviously, and you see her from the back, but she kind of lifts up the front of her nightgown and tells someone to do something to her.
Yeah, that wasn't ours. Yeah, it was her mother.
Yeah.
And then she did it and then threw her across the room, and that's when the Chester drawer flew over to her.
Yeah.
That scene was wild.
Yeah. And Ellen Burstyn, who plays the mom in this, she actually got injured. She injured her back on that because they had her, rigged to a harness, so she got yanked back from the bed.
I'll probably hit it a little too hard.
And apparently the jolt did something to her back. All right, so Chris, where was I at? Yeah, there we go. Chris seeks out Karras, who visits Reagan. Over 2 meetings, the possessed Reagan claims to be the devil himself and projectile vomits into Karras' face while speaking in tongues, and reacts violently. Oh no! Wait! I left out something up here at the top. Because we stopped after the crucifix line. To Chris's horror, the now possessed Reagan turns her head backwards and speaks in Dennings' voice. Reagan is confined to her bedroom. That's one of the more iconic images of the movie.
Yes.
When her head just slowly spins.
Which was, again, really cool for 1973. Like,
yeah,
a lot of the special effects, the makeup was real great towards the end. And I was like, this is impressive. A lot of the stuff they could pull off back then. We're talking 50 years ago. I mean,
no CGI.
No.
There's no computer animated anything. This is practical effects. It can be done. Chris seeks out Karras, who visits Reagan. Over 2 meetings, the possessed Reagan claims to be the devil himself and projectile vomits into Karras' face while speaking in tongues, and reacts violently when tap water is sprinkled on her, which Karras had claimed was holy water, a point against genuine possession. The demon says it will remain in Reagan until she is dead. Desperate, Chris confides that the possessed Reagan killed Dennings. At night, Chris's assistant calls Karras to the house. They witness the words, "Help me," materialize on Reagan's skin. Still ambivalent, Karras concludes an exorcism is warranted. His superior grants permission on the condition that an experienced priest lead the ritual while Karras assists. Marin, having performed an exorcism before, is summoned. Marin arrives at the house, warning Karras the demon attacks psychologically. As the priests read from the Roman ritual, the demon curses them. It focuses on Karras, verbally attacking his loss of faith and his guilt over his mother's death. The priest rests momentarily, and Marin, shaking, takes nitroglycerin. Karras enters the bedroom where the demon appears as his mother. Showing weakness, Karras exclaims the demon is not his mother. Marin excuses Karras and continues the exorcism by himself. Karras assures Chris that Reagan will not die, and re-enters the room, finding Marin dead. Enraged, Karras beats the possessed Reagan and demands the demon take him instead. The demon rips the medallion of St. Joseph from Karras's neck and begins to possess him, freeing Reagan. Karras hurls himself out the window, tumbling down the stairs outside. Chris and Kinderman enter the room. Chris embraces the healed Reagan, and Kinderman surveys the scene. Outside, Dyer administers the dying Karras' last rites. The McNeils prepare to leave, and Father Dyer says goodbye. Despite having no memory of her ordeal, Reagan, moved by the sight of Dyer's clerical collar, kisses him on the cheek. As the McNeils leave, Chris gives Dyer the medallion found in Reagan's room. Now, that's the end, but then this is the director's cut ending. Dyer gives Karras's medallion back to Chris. After she and Reagan drive away, Dyer pauses at the top of the stone steps before walking away and coming across Kinderman, who narrowly missed Chris and Reagan's departure. Kinderman and Dyer begin to develop a friendship. So that's the only change in the ending between the two.
So why didn't Kinderman arrest Reagan? Because he didn't see her possessed. He didn't see any of that kind of stuff. Did he just believe everybody else? I guess because, I mean, he saw a dead body in there. Reagan, the only one in the room. I mean, he saw Father Marin, and what's his name? Karras just threw himself out the window, but he didn't know he was thrown out the window. He already suspected somebody pushed and broke the head and spun the head around. So I mean,
yeah,
that was the only kind of confusing part for me.
Well, he says earlier in the movie that only a very strong man could have done this.
That's what he was. I thought at first he was going to accuse the Swiss guy, the housekeeper or whatever he was. I really thought he was going to accuse him, but nobody was there.
So he probably knew he couldn't make a case against a 12-year-old girl.
So, it's a good call.
And a court's not gonna look at that and go, "Well, she was possessed."
Yeah. Makes you it was really, I really liked how Father Karras, they did him as a a lot of things that they thought in the past that were demon possession were just schizophrenia, paranoia, that kind of stuff, like mental illnesses, and he came at everything with a scientific mind, and then this really, you could tell, shook him to his core.
Mm-hmm.
But at what point do you just tell Chris, hey, we're gonna have to put your kid down? There's nothing, this is. And at what point do people really believe that she's possessed? Because one room, you walk into those yellow, shining eyes and the scars and everything she's got going on. At what point do you be like, no, this is a demon. My child's not in there anymore. We're done. We're done here. The only smart thing that the lady did, the mom did, was move houses. So.
Yeah, I mean, you definitely want to get out of there. But I think that's the thing that makes this so scary from a horror movie perspective is if you are a believer in Christianity and God and the devil, and there's no house you can move to get away from something like that.
So is what brought it in was her messing with the Ouija board? Is that the whole... Because I was waiting for a connection between what Marin found in Iraq to their house, and we never really got there. But then went down to the basement, and she was playing with the Ouija board or whatever. And I was like, so when was the point of possession here? And I tried figuring that out the whole movie.
I think that's kind of seen as with the Ouija as what kind of opened the door. The point of possession, you hear the noises in the attic.
Yes.
And then she goes to the doctor's office. And she snaps at the doctor. And I think that's kind of the first sign that
something's wrong with her.
Something's wrong with her, yeah. Beyond just not feeling well. Now, from what I'm reading here, did you all get to see the sequence with the doctor?
Which one?
Well, this says around a half hour in, an entirely new sequence sees Reagan at the doctor being tested in various ways to try and determine what's wrong with her, including several that look quite painful. So,
Yeah, like
what
the
I
MRI machine. I'm assuming was the MRI machine.
it looked like they had her kind of at one point with the stuff on her temples, like it
Yes.
was going to be electroshock. And okay,
Yeah.
the
Oh,
doctor,
so I see. I googled the whole when did she get possessed. So apparently, it in the book it kind of elaborates a bit more on that. So apparently, Reagan started masturbating, and that's like when she allowed the sin in, and then when she murdered Denning is like when it full fledged grasped onto her. So, okay, and that's why, like I said, do you know what she did? Your uh, C word daughter, and that's what I was supposed to be referencing. So,
yeah,
okay.
um, yeah. Did you see what your daughter did or
Mm-hmm.
something like that? Yeah. Hold on.
I could not read this book if I wanted to. Just, I don't think I could do it. Maybe when I'm much older and a little bit more confident in who I am, but no, I couldn't do it.
Hold on. Oh, you can't see it. You'd have to look it up. I know you won't though.
Oh,
I was going to show you the spider walk scene.
oh yeah. Oh, I might have seen it like and not realize it's from this film, but I'm gonna look it up tomorrow morning when the sun's out.
I was just looking. I was like, I could probably share my screen and.
we don't. We might get copyrighted, and
Oh, sure, yeah,
you know how they are. So
yeah.
not
Um,
a bad movie. I'm glad I like watching these classics because, like I said earlier, I like catching the references that I've seen in other films and other things that have been talked about, and seeing where they actually came from. I think it's really cool. So I'm excited
yeah,
for next week too.
yeah. Next week's an interesting pairing, and
Hmm.
it didn't really. We didn't plan this, right? We just kind of
Hmm.
went down
Yeah.
the list, but it's Rosemary's Baby, which is Mia Farrow, John Cassavetes, I think, is in that, and then the whole story basically is the synopsis is that this young couple moves into the Dakota apartment building in New York. Their neighbors are strange. The husband's an actor trying to succeed as an actor, and he basically, for success in his career, allows the devil to sleep with his wife without her consent or knowledge.
Oh, and so it's essentially the Antichrist is their child.
Rosemary's Baby. Now,
Okay.
what's funny about that is the movie we're pairing it with unintentionally is Nightmare on Elm Street.
Hmm.
Freddy Krueger started out as a child molester who murdered the children of Elm Street in real life, and then their parents burn him
Hmm.
alive, basically. Um, but then he finds a way to come back. So
Hmm.
all
Eh.
this revolving around kids.
Yeah. That's not a fun time. Just gonna, you know. So, oh man,
But I,
not looking forward.
but I but I feel like Freddy Krueger is probably the most effective of the '80s horror icons
Yeah.
because you have to sleep. You can stay away from the others,
Hmm.
but eventually you're gonna fall asleep.
I'm really excited about this one. This is, I know we talk about it. This is one of the weeks I'm excited about just for Nightmare on Elm Street because I've heard so many things about it, and he is
You
a horror icon. So,
and you've never watched it,
nope,
okay?
not a scene. I know what he looks like. I know what he wears, but that's it.
The first movie or two were really really good, and then after that, because they saw that he got so big,
Hmm.
they saw that they could sell merchandise, including the kids, so they started having him tell more jokes in the movies and things like that.
Oh, they Hollywooded him.
And become quippy.
Oh, no.
And it was like, come on.
Just could have stopped with one, but fine.
But yeah, so those are our 2 movies for next week. This week's releases, September 29th in cinemas, 3 new movies: The Creator, The Old Oak, and Saw 10.
The Creator, I've heard a lot of good things about. It's like an AI boy come to life scenario. Brandon Davis from comicbook.com, he says it's one of the best movies this year. And he said if anyone can watch it because it's one of the best ones.
I've not heard of The Old Oak.
That's the only one I haven't heard of, but I'm sure it's a horror one. That's probably why. So
Means we'll probably watch it next year.
At one point in time, Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for listening to this episode. Make sure you are watching the first episode of Gen V, or however many episodes drop. That you might do 2. We'll just see. And again, say on Threads, Facebook, or Twitter for that information when we get there. Don't forget to share on all those favorite social media platforms like we just talked about. And don't forget to rate and review this podcast, whatever podcasting service you do use. And subscribe to our YouTube channel. But that's about it. We're on Nerdwide everywhere. Just search in the search bar, and we're the first thing that pops up. I mean, you don't even have to type in _wide. You don't have to do any of it. We pop up right then and there. So, love to see it. But ladies and gentlemen, next week, Nightmare on Elm Street, 3 more episodes of Harley Quinn, Gen V,
Rosemary's Baby.
It's gonna be a good one, especially to celebrate the birth of my child. But ladies and gentlemen, that has been this week's episode of the Nerdwide Podcast, and we cannot wait to haunt your screens next week. See you then.
Later, guys.